How do you define extremism? It's quite difficult to come up with a sensible definition that a reasonable person will accept, that all reasonable people will accept. And that, according to the Joint Committee on Human Rights, which is a committee of the Commons and the Lords, means that the government should tread very carefully before introducing anti-extremism legislation. Harriet Harman is here, Harriet Harman, Labour MP, who is chair of the Joint Committee on Human Rights. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
What are you saying the government has got wrong?
Well, the government have said that they're going to bring forward a countering extremism bill, and in it there's going to be three sorts of orders which the state can impose on organisations or individuals. Closure orders, extremism disruption orders, banning orders, and they can issue these orders, and if they're breached, they're a criminal offence. But the difficulty is they have not been able to define the extremism against which these orders will be posed. One of the things they say in their counter-extremism strategy is extremism, which obviously they want to tackle because they feel it leads to violence. But they've said extremism includes, for example, intolerance or not respecting the religious views or beliefs of others. But the difficulty with that is, again, it's the definition. For example, I don't respect religions which regard women as subservient. I don't tolerate the views of people, the beliefs of people who think that homosexuality is a sin. But I'm clearly not an extremist on the path to violence. And to have draconian orders, breach of which is a criminal offence, without being able to describe the problem that you're trying to put these orders against.
So do you throw your hands in the air and say we can't do this?
No, I think what the government should do is they should review the prevent strategy. For a year, they've had the new version of the prevent strategy, which is to divert people away from radicalism. And they should review that. Some people say it's worked. Other people say that it's alienated communities.
But that's separate, isn't it?
Well,
that's
no, it isn't. It isn't.
My understanding. Well, let me get this straight then, because I thought that the prevent strategy still existed, but separately from this new bill, this new set of laws that we're going to get.
Well, the prevent strategy is in the same area in that it's about preventing people becoming radicalised. So before you have tough new orders, you should look at whether what you're doing already is working. Clearly, it's good intentions, but they need to look at the evidence and have evidence-based progress on that. That's the first thing.
That effort to outlaw, essentially, extremism, and the Home Office spokesperson told us extremism causes terrorism and broader social harms, including hate crime, honour-based violence and discrimination. In other words, that they see it, that the effort to tackle extremism is desperately, desperately important. Are you saying then that effort just happens within Prevent, that there isn't a separate legal effort to clamp down on people who are, for instance, in any public place saying we should do this or we should do that in a way that causes offence under these rules?
Well, I think the effort is a laudable one. It's the absolute foremost duty of the state, of the government, to keep people safe. But the problem is that they have been unable to distinguish between extremism, which leads to violence, or on the other hand, religious conservatism. And what you cannot have is a whole range of orders, banning orders and criminal offences backing them up, when what you're doing ending up putting these orders against views that you disapprove of, but where there's no evidence either that leads to jihadism. So because what you do if you do that is you risk making the situation worse by alienating the communities, by disrupting the relationship between the authorities and the Muslim communities, which is the most precious asset in tackling violence and jihad.
And on that, what did the people who would be in the first line, as it were, in enforcing these rules, when you talked to them on your committee, what did they say to you? What were the fears that you heard?
Well, the police said, don't give us responsibilities to crack down on something without you are able to explain to us what it is we're supposed to be cracking down on.